Good evening, Professor. We are Group 2. Today we will be presenting our topic, Kita adalah di mana kita tinggal, Flat Taman Bukit Angkasa. So the link here is for our group project product video. You may also scan the QR code at the bottom right to watch it. So here is our team member, and here is the content for these presentations. Next, I will pass the presentation to my group mate who will start with the introduction part.
So, let's look straight into why we choose flat Taman Bukit Angkasa for our study. If you go there to Pantai Dalam, you will see these 21 blocks of old flat building. But what makes this place incredibly interesting is location. It sits right next to the Bangsa South, which is we all know is the super modern, luxury and expensive area. This creates a huge contrast. On one side of the road, you have high-end commercial building. On the other side, you have low-cost community flats. This extreme setup makes Flat Taman Bukit Angkasa the perfect real-world laboratory to study how different social classes live right next to each other and how low income community build its own defense and survival tactics. So our goal here are very simple. First, we want to understand how people living in such a crowded area support each other and stay strong together. Second one is we want to see how they clever up and change the small, limited spaces around them to fit their daily needs. Next.
So now let's move on the locations and place sections. For this part, I will explain that location and spatial context of Flat Taman Bukit Angkasa. Flat Taman Bukit Angkasa is located at Jalan Pantai Dalam, Kuala Lumpur. It is a low-cost residential flat area mainly designed for high-density urban living. From the map, we can see that the flat is surrounded by residential block, roads, commercial area, and a public facility. In terms of connectivity, the location is quite strategic because it is located near public transport such as the LRT stations and a bus stop. So this is make more convenient for residents who need to travel daily for work, study, or other activities. For the surrounding environment, shops are mainly concentrated near the entrance area where there is a high movement of people. Parking areas are also located around the ground level. Besides that, there are also cultural and community space such as the surau, an area where pasar malam activity are held. So I will pass to next part.
Okay, this also brings us to the social perspective of our study. Basically, we want to answer three simple questions. Who actually live here? How do they talk and interact every day? And how do they make these crowded public spaces feel like a real home? To explain this clearly, we will break it down into two ideas, which is social group and territorial space. So let's start with the first part is the social groups. Who is the community here? Which the first point is demographic profile. The majority of the people living here is the Malay and Indian families from the B40 and M40 income groups. So what's special is that many of them have deep multi-generational roots in Pantai Dalam, which is meaning that grandparents, parents, and kids all have grown up in this exact area. The second one is the neighborhood spirit. Because of the flat are very density and crowded, the people have become incredibly close-knit. Neighbors heavily rely on each other for everyday helps. If a parent is busy, a neighbor will watch their kids. They also share food, support network, and look out for each other's safety like a giant family. So the third one is assemble sport. Their bond is kept alive by everyday hangout sport. The grocery shop on the ground floor, the traditional coffee shop, and the local religious building act as a daily meeting point. It's where they chat, build friendship, and create their share. Next slide. Next, let's talk about territorial space. When you live in a small, crowded flat, space is luxury. So how do residents claim their own territory? They do it using three clever tactics, which is the first tactic is corridor appropriation, which is they are changing the corridors. In this flat, the corridor outside of the house is not just a walking path. Residents actively claim these spaces and turn them into the mini gardens, outdoor lounge to sit and chat, or extra spaces to dry their laundry. The second one is personalization and boundaries. They making it personal, which is families mark their territory by putting out their own shoe racks, specific carpet or decoration right outside their front door. This break a that boring uniform look like the building and clearly say that this is where public space ends and my private home begins. The third one is defensible spaces by self-policing. Because these corridors and stairwell are shared space, the community look after them together. There are no formal security guards up there. It is self-police. This creates a natural organic layer of safety because everyone look out for the group protection. So as you can see, Flat Taman Bukit Angkasa is much more than just a crowded concrete block. It's a living, breathing community where people use clever social and spatial tactics to thrive. So next, I will pass to the next speaker to talk.
Okay, now we can let's take a look at economic perspective. As we know, economy is really important in the community, especially community in Flat Taman Bukit Angkasa. So now for the next slide, let's talk about social class. Okay, the community here primarily belongs to the B40 category, which are representing the marginalized working class and lower middle class. In social geography, this location is a physical manifestation of class in space, where a person lives often dictates their socio-economic reality. Here to address by determines the purchasing power, mode of transportation, and the access to quality public resources. For the next slide, about the spatial inequality, this creates by its proximity to the Bangsa South as one of the city's most affluent neighborhoods. Despite being physically close, the residents of the Flat Taman Bukit Angkasa face a significant resource gap, which dealing with the oldest facilities and less public support than their neighbours. This reinforces the harsh urban reality that your physical location determines what you get from the city. So next slide, we talk about urban lifestyle. From the urban lifestyle, we can categorize the life of residents using Robinet's framework, which are careerism and familism. Careerism is evident in the daily movement of residents. This flat is a hub for professionals and gig economy workers, such as delivery riders, who rely heavily on LRT and the road to access the employment. However, this lifestyle is pressured by economic insecurity, which nearly 40% of the families rely on a single income earner, and over half have savings that would only last 1 to 3 months in a crisis. Next slide is about familism. In other dominant lifestyles, residents focus on community stability and children outcomes. So they face severe overcrowdings. Each units are typically 40% smaller than national standards, which providing only 125 to 145 square feet per person. This density combined with restricted upward mobility, which often turns the flat into a poverty trap, where multi-generational families remain stuck in a cycle of deprivation. Next.
So next, I will focus on the cultural perspective of the community. Next. So regarding the cultural identity of Taman Bukit Angkasa, the residents here are predominantly Malay, but there are also Indian and foreign residents live together in the same area. Although the community is diverse, we didn't observe any clear racial conflict during our visit. One important cultural space is in this area is the Pasar Malam. It is not only a place for buying food or daily items, but also a gathering point where residents meet, eat, shop, and socialize together. So from this, we can see that cultural identity is not only shown through ethnicity or background, but also through everyday practices. Simple activities like going to Pasar Malam reflect the shared lifestyle and community identity of the residents. Next. So as for social values in this community, according to water theory, space can gain meaning through cultural definition. This means that a place is not only important because of its building or physical structure, but also because of the meaning people give to it. In Taman Bukit Angkasa, residents have their own emotional connection with the place. For them, this area is not just a flat or a place to stay, but also a space where they build daily routines, relationships, and a sense of belonging. So social values can be seen as both the cause and result of living here. The results shared beliefs and daily interaction shape how they use space. And at the same time, the space also helps strengthen their community life. Next. So next, I will discuss access and inequality based on what we observe in Taman Bukit Angkasa. Next. First, one of the main issues is limited parking space. From our observation, some residents use cones to reserve their parking spots. This shows that the available parking area may not be enough for the number of residents living here. Second, rubbish collection is also an issue. Some rubbish areas are not very well managed, and this can affect the cleanliness and comfort of the living environment. Third, some facilities and corridors show signs of aging and lack of maintenance. This may affect residents' daily use of shared spaces, especially for children, elderly people, and families who depend on this kind of facilities. Lastly, when we compare Taman Bukit Angkasa with nearby Bangsar, we can clearly see a contrast in the urban environment. Bangsar has more modern buildings, better infrastructure, and a more developed image, while Bukit Angkasa still faces basic maintenance and facility issues. So overall, this observation shows spatial inequality, where different communities living together or living close to each other may experience very different level of access, comfort, and urban services. Next.
So through our study of Taman Bukit Angkasa, we have seen how a place shapes the lives of the people who live there in 4 different ways, from social relationships, economic reality, and cultural identity, to issues of access and equality. Every angle tells us the same thing. This is not just a place to live. It is where residents find their identity, their opportunities, and their everyday experience.
People shape the place they live in, and those places in turn shape the people they become. Kita adalah di mana kita tinggal. Who we are and where we live cannot be separate. So here is the reference for these presentations. And that's all from our group. Thank you for listening.